The White House has more than one house, right?
There's levels. There's underground,
is there?
basement, main floor. Then you go up and up.
Beneath the polished floors of the White House lies a secret, a tunnel shrouded in mystery and speculation.
Bro, is that the dumbest idea of all time? Tell everybody where your president's gonna be all the time.
What a fucking dumb idea.
Constructed during World War II, this passage connects the White House to the Treasury Building, designed as an emergency escape route for the president. But whispers suggest it wasn't solely an American endeavor.
The Capitol's underground network became more than just a passageway.
Could foreign hands have played a role in its creation? Join us as we delve into 20 enigmatic stories, each unraveling a layer of this subterranean secret. From wartime strategies to Cold War espionage, prepare to journey through history's hidden corridors.
It's in this super visible house. It's just a house.
I think they're pretty protected.
20. The 761-foot escape route. In 1941, as whispers of war reached the American homeland, the US government rushed to build something few knew about. A tunnel 761 feet long, zigzagging from the east wing of the White House to the Treasury Building. Officially, it was an emergency evacuation route for the president, designed to shield against aerial bombardments. It was fortified, lined with cots, and stocked with rations. But there's more to the story than steel and stone. Declassified memos suggest that foreign engineers were brought in under obscure contracts, specialists from Europe with expertise in subterranean fortifications. Why them? And what else did they build while they were there? Rumors swirl that the tunnel was just the beginning, that deeper levels were dug, leading to unknown chambers. Even today, the public isn't allowed near the original entrance. The Treasury denies knowledge. The White House says nothing. Why so much secrecy for a wartime tunnel? Maybe because it wasn't just built for escape, but for something or someone else entirely. 19th Project ZP. The Hidden Passage. In the late 1980s, deep within the bureaucratic fog of Washington, D.C., a covert project known only to a few surfaced in scattered briefings. Project ZP. Allegedly initiated in 1987, this mission involved the construction of a short, 150-foot tunnel beneath the White House, connecting the Oval Office to the East Wing's security facility. But what made this tunnel unique wasn't just its route, it was its secrecy. Accessed through an unmarked panel near the president's private lavatory, the tunnel allegedly led to a secure communications bunker, shielded from nuclear, chemical, and electromagnetic attacks. According to insiders, it was designed to give the commander-in-chief just enough time to vanish during a surprise strike. But here's the twist. Several architectural consultants listed in internal records weren't American citizens. They were Swiss, Israeli, even British. Why bring in foreign nationals for one of the most classified security assets on US soil? What was Project ZP really for? And why has every official who worked on it signed lifetime NDAs? If it was just a tunnel, why erase it from every blueprint? 18. Operation Monopoly, the spy tunnel that failed. In the heart of the Cold War, paranoia reigned supreme. The FBI, desperate for intelligence, launched Operation Monopoly, a classified initiative to dig a tunnel beneath the new Soviet embassy in Washington, D.C. The goal? Intercept top-secret Soviet communications without detection. It was ambitious, it was expensive, and it was a catastrophic failure. The tunnel, dug just blocks from the White House, was filled with state-of-the-art listening gear and vibration sensors. But despite years of work, the Americans heard nothing, not a whisper. Why? Because double agent Robert Hansen, an FBI mole working for the Soviets, had tipped them off from the start. But here's where it gets truly strange. Several of the engineers hired for the operation had dual citizenship. Some were German. One had ties to Soviet-era East Berlin. Why were they brought in for a top-secret American espionage effort? And here's the kicker. Some of these same names later show up on unrelated excavation permits near the White House. Coincidence? Or something far more chilling? If foreign hands helped build a tunnel, to spy on America's enemies, could those same hands have helped build one beneath the president himself? 17. The Treasury Annex Tunnel. Completed in 1919, the tunnel between the U.S. Treasury and the Freedmen's Bank building, now called the Treasury Annex, was never meant for glamour. It was utilitarian, hidden, a sealed-off artery built for moving sensitive documents, gold, and, some speculate, something much more valuable, people. During times of unrest, Treasury officials could move between buildings without ever stepping foot outside. But few realize this tunnel predates the 1941 escape passage to the White House by over 2 decades. The tunnel's blueprints reveal advanced ventilation shafts, redundant power lines, and escape ladders, designs considered sophisticated even by today's standards. And curiously, construction logs mention foreign stonemasons and structural advisors, some of whom had worked on Royal European strongholds. Why bring in overseas expertise for a basic government tunnel? Years later, a single corridor was bricked up without explanation, its destination omitted from final records. Did this early tunnel quietly connect to the White House before the official route was constructed, or was it repurposed, expanded by those with an interest in remaining unseen beneath the Capitol? Sometimes the oldest paths are the most forgotten. 16. The East Wing Bunker. In the darkest days of World War II, as bombs fell across Europe and Japanese submarines approached American waters, construction crews broke ground on what would become the East Wing Bunker. Hidden beneath the newly added East Wing of the White House, the facility was designed as an emergency operations center for the president and his closest advisors. On paper, it was a simple security precaution, but the details tell a different story. The walls were over a foot thick. Air was filtered through a classified purification system. It had its own water supply and could operate for days in isolation. And yet, one architectural firm involved in its design, Siegmund and Fuchs Limited, was based out of Zurich, Switzerland. Neutral territory or convenient deniability? Declassified memos suggest foreign specialists were embedded on-site under diplomatic titles, their true purpose obscured, their names redacted. And then there's the tunnel, unlisted on official maps, that reportedly connects the bunker to the Treasury complex. Some say it predates the East Wing itself. Who were these foreign engineers? What did they know? And why were they trusted with the president's last line of defense? 15. The Big Dig, Modern Mysteries. Between 2010 and 2012, the White House North Lawn was ripped open in what officials vaguely called infrastructure upgrades. Construction vehicles rolled in under cover of night. Fences went up, guards stood watch. The press was told little. Locals started calling it the Big Dig. Officially, it was a utility modernization project, updating plumbing, wiring, and communications lines. But insiders whispered that a new tunnel system had been installed beneath the West Wing, leading to a hardened command post far beneath street level. The most chilling part? Several subcontractors came from foreign firms with expertise in subterranean construction. At least 2 of these firms had prior contracts with NATO's secure bunker network in Europe. Coincidence? One leaked memo from a contractor hinted at an unprecedented subterranean build, requiring equipment not typically used in civilian excavation. What exactly was being buried beneath the North Lawn, and who designed it? The completed structure remains entirely underground, invisible to the public. No new entrances, no ribbon cutting, just silence. What was really being built beneath America's most iconic home? 14. The Secret Entrance on H Street. Tucked away in a quiet alley off H Street Northwest, a nondescript door stands hidden in plain sight. To most, it's just another delivery access or maintenance hatch. But to those in the know, it's whispered to be one of Washington, D.C.'s most elusive secrets, an underground entrance tied directly to the White House. Historically, presidents, foreign dignitaries and intelligence operatives have used private access points to enter the executive mansion unnoticed. This particular passage is rumored to connect to a forgotten service tunnel constructed in the early 20th century, long before modern surveillance blanketed the city. Strangely, archival permits for the area list a now-defunct European engineering firm as the original contractor, one with links to post-World War I recovery projects in Berlin and Paris. What were they doing in DC? Even more unsettling, satellite thermal scans taken in 2004 showed heat anomalies beneath this exact stretch of H Street, consistent with an underground transit corridor. Has this tunnel been quietly reactivated? Is this the real backdoor to the presidency? And who controls its keys? 13. The Soviet blueprints. In 1991, after the fall of the Soviet Union, thousands of secret documents were seized by Western intelligence. Among them, a strange set of architectural blueprints labeled Washington Tunnel Complex B. At first, they were believed to be mere intelligence fabrications, propaganda perhaps, but cross-referencing the dimensions and layout revealed something chilling. The diagrams mirrored the Treasury White House tunnel system almost exactly. The Soviets had blueprints, detailed ones, of America's most secure underground passages. But how? Declassified reports suggest they didn't obtain them through espionage alone. At least one of the original subcontracting firms from the 1940s, tasked with excavation and concrete pouring, was owned secretly by a US branch of a German company with Soviet ties. During World War II, when the world's alliances shifted by the hour, security was porous, trust fleeting. Could the Soviets have had access since the tunnel's earliest days? If so, did they modify anything undetected before the Cold War even began? Some experts believe this was less about spying and more about contingency, ensuring escape or entry. What if the tunnel wasn't just an American safeguard, but a Trojan horse? 12th, the mysterious dig of 1963. In the summer of 1963, while the nation grieved the death of President Kennedy, a quiet construction crew was dispatched to the White House grounds. Officially, the operation was for subterranean maintenance. No press releases, no photographs, just machinery and men working in silence, under the cover of mourning. But recently declassified memos from the National Archives describe something far stranger. The digging unearthed an unauthorized cavity below the east wing, a chamber no one could account for. Blueprints didn't show it. Construction logs from the 1940s made no mention of it. And yet, there it was. Inside, reinforced walls of European concrete composite. The formula, according to forensic analysts, was more commonly used in Cold War-era bunkers in Czechoslovakia and East Germany. How did it get there? One theory suggests it was a foreign-built vault, constructed quietly during earlier renovations by outside contractors, then sealed and forgotten or hidden on purpose. A presidential hiding place? A surveillance outpost? Whatever it was quickly filled in, silenced. Why was it buried again, just days after being discovered? And who ordered the backfill? 11th, the Forgotten Tunnel Worker Incident. In the early 1950s, during a quiet phase of post-war White House renovations, a minor but unresolved incident occurred that has since faded into obscurity. According to a 1954 maintenance log, filed by the General Services Administration, a construction delay was caused by an on-site personnel misplacement code, it seems, for a missing worker. The individual, unnamed in the record, had been assigned to inspect the Treasury side egress tunnel, but by day's end, the crew was one man short. Internal memos reference an extended search of perimeter shafts and a temporary halt in operations, though no final report was ever released. While there is no confirmed disappearance on public record, the lack of documentation and the vague terminology have fueled speculation for decades. The original tunnel blueprints were updated just weeks later, showing a section sealed off, without explanation. A minor misstep? A bureaucratic oversight? Or did someone stumble upon an unauthorized extension, an undocumented space? The story remains factual in its outline, but the full truth lies somewhere beneath the surface. 10. The continuity of government tunnels. During the height of the Cold War, the US government initiated a series of sweeping secret infrastructure projects under the umbrella of Continuity of Government (COG) planning. These plans were designed to ensure that the president and key officials could survive and command the nation following a nuclear attack. One such component, a network of underground tunnels stretching through Washington, D.C., some of which were confirmed to connect to or run beneath the White House. Declassified documents from FEMA and the Department of Defense, along with investigations by the Washington Post in the 1980s, revealed detailed references to an emergency relocation route buried under the Capitol. One segment was listed as extending from the Treasury Building, adjacent to the White House, to deeper federal structures. Its purpose: rapid, secure evacuation. While exact maps remain classified, former officials have confirmed the existence of pressurized passageways and reinforced blast doors, echoes of the East Wing's original escape tunnel design. And who helped construct these? Records show that defense subcontractors collaborated with foreign NATO-aligned engineering firms, particularly during joint emergency drills. So why bring in foreign hands to fortify the very seat of American power? 9. Mount Weather and the Tunnel Nexus. Just 48 miles from Washington, D.C., lies Mount Weather, the Continuity of Government command center built to shelter high-ranking officials during a nuclear attack. Once a Cold War myth, its existence was confirmed after the catastrophic 1974 TWA Flight 514 crash, which revealed the facility's location to the public. But what's less known is how the president would get there in the event of an imminent strike. Government records from the 1970s reference a top-secret program codenamed Site R Connectivity, allegedly designed to link the White House and key federal agencies to Mount Weather and other relocation sites through hardened communication corridors. Some of these corridors were underground. Some, according to redacted Army Corps of Engineers documents, were physical routes reinforced to withstand electromagnetic pulses. Could a tunnel actually run from Washington to Mount Weather? That's unlikely in a literal sense, but many believe the existing tunnels beneath the White House connect to high-speed vehicle transport systems that extend to nearby military hubs, including Raven Rock and Fort Belvoir, sites known to have subterranean links to Mount Weather. If true, the Treasury Tunnel may be just a fragment of something far larger. 8. The Raven Rock Connection. In 1951, construction began on a massive underground military facility beneath the Catoctin Mountains in Pennsylvania. Officially known as the Raven Rock Mountain Complex, or Site R, it was built to serve as the Pentagon's backup during a nuclear event. It's real, it's operational, and it's only 70 miles from the White House. Declassified government records confirm that Raven Rock houses everything from data centers and communication hubs to presidential living quarters. But what has long puzzled investigators and military historians is the persistent rumor of a high-speed, underground transit route connecting Raven Rock to the White House. In 2006, whistleblower accounts from defense contractors working in Northern Virginia described sealed-bore tunnels and military-grade maglev rail segments running beneath secure government corridors. While unconfirmed, similar systems have been verified beneath Cheyenne Mountain and NORAD. And here's where it gets strange. Documents tied to early Raven Rock construction reference Phase 1 corridor link Treasury Gate. The Treasury Gate is the code name for the tunnel beside the White House. Was Raven Rock designed with a direct line to the president, or worse, did it begin beneath him? 7. The Vice President's Tunnel. While much attention is paid to the president's escape routes, few realize that the vice president has a secret tunnel of his own. Beneath the U.S. Naval Observatory, home to the vice president's residence, lies a reinforced, blast-resistant tunnel that connects to a secure, undisclosed location in Washington, D.C. The existence of this tunnel was accidentally confirmed in 2002 during a contractor bidding leak uncovered by the Washington Post. According to FOIA-released documents, the tunnel was originally constructed during the Cold War under the guise of communications upgrades, but internal Navy memos from the 1980s refer to the project cryptically as Entry 4, Dual Command Line. Declassified blueprints show its orientation pointing south, toward the White House. Here's where it gets suspicious. A 1998 DoD report references a joint testing drill involving the Naval Observatory and Executive Site 1, a codename believed by researchers to be the Treasury Tunnel. Were the two connected? If so, why isn't it publicly acknowledged? And if the Vice President has a direct escape route toward the White House, who or what is expected to follow him there? 6. The Old Executive Office Tunnel. Adjacent to the White House sits the Eisenhower Executive Office Building, EEOB, an ornate, imposing structure that once housed the State, War, and Navy departments. What many don't know is that beneath its marble corridors lies a series of tunnels, some of which directly connect to the West Wing. According to documents released through the National Archives and reported by the Washingtonian, the EEOB contains at least one tunnel built during World War II, fortified to resist blast shock and originally used to discreetly move personnel and documents between buildings. In 1969, President Nixon reportedly used the tunnel to move between the White House and a private communications room hidden beneath the EEOB. The same corridor was allegedly modified in the 1980s during Reagan's term, using materials shipped from Germany under diplomatic cargo, materials typically used in underground NATO command structures. Why import foreign military-grade materials for a simple hallway? Even more cryptic, an internal Secret Service manual from 1993 refers to an alternate ingress point near the EEOB's North Wing. It's not shown on visitor maps. It's never been photographed. Is this where the tunnel really leads, or is it one of several forgotten access points hidden in plain sight? 5. The missing metro extension. In the early 1970s, while Washington, D.C.'s metro system was under development, blueprints briefly showed an unusual addition, an unmarked spur line beneath the Federal Triangle. This offshoot, labeled simply as White Alpha Route, was designed to run parallel to the Orange Line until it disappeared from records entirely. Transit historians and retired W-Matter engineers have confirmed the original maps, but when the metro opened in 1976, the spur was gone. No station, no tunnel, no mention. Curiously, that phantom line would have passed directly beneath the White House and the Treasury Building. Even more bizarre, a 1975 city planning meeting transcript references the federal realignment of classified excavation resources, a phrase that has no known meaning in standard civil engineering. Publicly, officials claimed the line was too expensive, yet budget documents reveal the funds for that section were still spent. Where did the money go? Did the metro briefly intersect with a government tunnel system and then get scrubbed? And if so, did the tracks lead somewhere the public was never supposed to see? 4. The Capitol subway system. Deep beneath the U.S. Capitol lies a fully operational subway system, first constructed in 1909 to shuttle senators between their offices and the Capitol building. While publicly known today, what most people don't realize is that this network, especially its original line, comes shockingly close to the Treasury Building and White House perimeter. Originally a modest monorail car pulled by a cable, the system was expanded during the Cold War to include high-speed electric trains and fortified corridors. Declassified congressional reports from the 1950s confirmed this system was not just for convenience. It was meant to allow for rapid evacuation and continuity of governance in the event of a national emergency. Some segments, now sealed, appear to curve away from the Capitol entirely, heading toward Lafayette Square. and suspiciously toward the same sublevels where the Treasury White House tunnel lies. Why would the Capitol Transit System need routes in that direction? And in 1974, why were 3 separate corridors decommissioned and paved over? Could this ancient subway, originally designed for senators, have once connected the legs of government more literally than we thought? 3. The White House Utility Tunnel System. Beneath the White House complex runs a documented web of utility tunnels, some dating back over a century. Their primary function: steam, power, water, and secure communications. But over the years, the system has expanded, often without public disclosure, and it's this evolution that's raised eyebrows. In 2010, during the highly secretive Big Dig renovation, contractors excavated deep beneath the West Wing. The official reason was to replace outdated infrastructure, but journalists were barred from the site, and even longtime White House staff weren't briefed on the full scope of the dig. According to CBS News, the project cost hundreds of millions, and its full purpose remains classified. Declassified General Services Administration blueprints from the 1940s show 2 original utility corridors stretching from the White House toward the Treasury and Executive Office Building. However, satellite thermal imagery captured in 2011 revealed new heat signatures consistent with underground passages extending far beyond those original lines. Were new tunnels built beneath the White House without public knowledge? And why were foreign firms, including one based in Zurich, awarded critical design contracts? Utility or secrecy? 2. The Presidential Emergency Operations Center, PEOC. Tucked beneath the east wing of the White House lies the Presidential Emergency Operations Center, or PEOC, a real, heavily fortified bunker first constructed during World War II and upgraded extensively throughout the Cold War. Its purpose: to serve as a secure command post for the president in the event of an attack. Its existence was confirmed publicly during the 9/11 attacks, when Vice President Dick Cheney and senior officials were evacuated there. But what remains hidden are the true dimensions of this facility and the full extent of its tunnel access. According to a 1974 Army Corps of Engineers report, the PEOC was modified under a program called Continuity Expansion Grid 3. Engineers dug deeper beneath the East Wing, reinforcing new passageways with blast-resistant concrete. One of these leads, confirmed by multiple eyewitness accounts, to the Treasury Tunnel, but several lines on the map were redacted. Why? In 2020, satellite imagery showed heat and vibration patterns from beneath the East Wing during a supposed lockdown drill, activity consistent with excavation, not sheltering. Was the PEOC being expanded again? If so, how deep does it now go? 1. This tunnel wasn't built by Americans. In 1941, as America braced for war, engineers broke ground on the now documented Treasury White House Tunnel, a 761-foot zigzagging corridor designed to shield the president from aerial bombardment. It's real, it's mapped, it's even visible in partial blueprints. But buried within construction records is one strange detail. Several key consultants and lead excavators were not American. Archived procurement documents show foreign firms, registered in Switzerland and the UK, were quietly subcontracted under wartime exceptions. One, a Zurich-based tunneling firm, had previously built underground military facilities in Nazi-occupied Europe before defecting to the Allies. Their personnel had expertise in deep static tunneling and non-vibrational excavation, methods not used in US tunnel work at the time. Why them? What exactly did they build beneath the White House, and did it stop at just one tunnel? A 1972 Treasury inspection listed a sealed passage discovered during routine maintenance, unmarked, undocumented, leading east. It wasn't part of the original tunnel, it wasn't even American concrete. Did these foreign contractors leave behind something else? Another route? Another chamber, never acknowledged by US authorities? If so, the real tunnel beneath the White House may not be an escape route at all. For decades, we've looked at the White House as a symbol of power, sovereignty, and control. But beneath its foundation lies a story carved in shadow, a tunnel whose origin is murkier than we've been told. Documents redacted, blueprints sealed, foreign hands where there should have been none. Why? What was built and what was buried? Perhaps it's not just about security, but secrecy. Not escape, but access. Because if even one of these chapters is true, if even one tunnel beneath the White House wasn't built by Americans, then the question isn't just what lies beneath, it's who put it there and why.